sizzling human on gay Bigfoot action. Nice.
I like fear.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 84 of the Ron and Brian podcast. I am Ron, as always, joined by the man who's upset at being passed over once again for Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, Brian. Brian, how are you hanging in there, my friend?
Disappointed.
Okay.
Just, you get your expectations up. You get, the people in your social circle whispering in your ear that they think certain things are going to take place. We had somebody on the inside at Sports Illustrated, so the feedback we were getting was very positive up until that last afternoon when it went a different direction. Am I disappointed? Yes, I am. Is there always next year? I don't know. This may have been my last entry.
I mean, you can only be expected to perform at that high of a level for so many years in a row.
You give 100% every day of your life, Ron. That's the only way to live.
All right. Are you? I know our listeners at home can't see you, but are you sporting a new haircut tonight? Seems a little shorter on the sides than normal.
I did get a haircut.
Okay.
I don't know what you think of it, but I was due for one, so I said, fuck it, I'm going to get a haircut. And when I was there, I said, take a little bit more than you usually do off.
All right. A little nice and tight on the sides.
Thank you.
Sexier than usual, if I dare say.
Ladies, hit me up on Tavor, the Tavor dating app. Ron, what is that code?
248Z12. I don't remember. I gotta look it up.
That's use my Tavor dating app code, and you can hit me up.
All right. Let's. Speaking of Tavor, let's see what we're drinking tonight.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Prost.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian,
Drink
as
of the week.
always, we will
Drink of the
start
week.
with you and what you are drinking on your end. A little can of beer this week.
I've got Victory Homegrown Lager. It's dry hopped, usually right up my alley. Tastes a little watered down, so I'm going to give Victory Homegrown the big thumbs down.
So can I go out on a limb and assume that you purchased a Victory combo pack a week or so ago?
False.
All right.
Last week I bought 2 cans of Victory. I only drank one during the podcast.
All right,
I was
fair
expecting to drink both. I only drank one, so this week I decided I would use it up. I will not be returning to Victory. What I did do is, as you can see, I'm getting my comfort zone a little closer. I followed the Tavor Instagram account this week.
Good call, as you should always do.
So I'm thinking in January, what we do is you and I start getting the same beers.
So we get we curate a matching case so that you and I can
Yes.
drink the same beers in the future.
And then we can bring back the Drink of the Week contest.
I'm good with that. So we'll make a note of that on top of our matching doctor's appointments we're going to try and get together for January. So I still have to gotta get a new doctor still. So still working
Ron,
on that.
I just think that an episode titled "Ron and Brian Get Fingered" is a great podcast title.
I think it gets a lot of downloads just from the title alone.
Of course.
Well, this week, no surprise. When the weather gets cold, I really stick with the stout beers, and this week is no exception. From the good folks over at Left Hand Brewing, this is their Wake Up Dead Russian Imperial Stout. Look at the head on that. I mean, that's some.
Did you say Russian?
I said Russian. I would say Ukrainian, but our good friends at Obalon have yet to provide us with any sample beers to go along with their sponsorship.
But they're sponsoring us, which means that they're giving us money.
Are they?
Don't you think? Yeah. Don't you think you want to? Well, wait a second. How do you think you get to the position of sponsoring the Ron and Brian podcast annual Racist of the Year tournament?
I assume there were perhaps favors other than money involved.
Okay.
All right. Well, speaking of which, I mean, let's get into racism because it was a wild week in the tournament.
This
Week.
in
Racism.
And of course, this is Obalon Brewing presents the Ron and Brian Podcast 2019 Racist of the Year Tournament. We had our 4 second-round matchups this past week. Again, votes coming in hot and heavy. Let's start off again on the left side of the bracket. If your bracket hasn't busted, fingers crossed that you had some good picks this past week. In the Paula Deen region, we had number 1 seed Amber Rocco going up against number 2 seed Gene Kramer. A little bit of an upset here. Number 2 seed Gene Kramer rolls to an easy victory, 88% to 12%. She'll represent the Paula Deen region in the Final Four. Brian, you picked this one last week. You were picking the upset. It came through. How do you feel right now?
Feel pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I think here what you're looking at here is the calm delivery of a Gene Kramer. I think Amber Rocco kind of turned away some people with her just over the top anger. One of the things I think you saw from the first round, the Sweet 16, was uncontrolled anger was not embraced by the listeners. They are going, it seems like in 2019, calculated racism is taking you a lot further than out of control, off the top, unhinged. So it's going to get dicey.
I mean, one of our listeners did have a very good point on our Facebook poll in that, angry outbursts don't match up to systematic racism present in public service. And I would tend to agree with that.
And Gene Kramer really gives a great interview.
Oh, yeah, she does. I mean, this was, we're just going to do a quick recap of each of our Final Four finalists. So let's take a listen to Gene Kramer, how she first came on the scene.
My recommendation, keep Marysville a white community as much as possible. No foreign-born, no foreign people because of what, how can I say, in our past, what we have experienced, is better to have it simply American-born, put it that way.
So eloquent. And if you have a good 6 or 7 minutes, go look up the follow-up interview she did with her local news stations, because it certainly was something. So she will represent the Paula Deen region in the Final Four, going down to the Trump University region. We had number 1 seed Corinne Terone taking on the upstart number 3 seed, the kids from Spain Park High School. Could not recapture that upset magic this past week. Corinne rolls to a perfect win, 100% to 0. She moves on to the next round, representing the Trump University region. She's been a buzzsaw so far. Give me your comments on how Corinne's performance has been in this tournament.
She came in a 1 seed. She's acting like a 1 seed, just ripping apart her opponents. I've got to say that if I am Gene Kramer going into these semifinal rounds, I am very nervous about Corinne Terone. She brings so much racism, so many different angles. She does get angry. She also is calculated. Looking at the rest, she is right now. She's getting a lot of attention.
She is, and as a reminder, let's play a clip of her 911 call she made after her racist incident.
Fucking nigger!
Easton, please.
Hi, my name is Corinne McGovney. I was talking to my kids, and this black guy got up in front of me and said, "Are you talking to me, bitch?" And I said, "No, I'm not, nigger." And now they're telling me I'm racial profiling.
Okay, what town are you in,
I'm
ma'am?
a fucking bitch.
Ma'am, you're not in Easton. We don't have a Stop and Shop. So what town are you in?
East Haven.
Okay, you called Easton.
All right, go fuck yourself, then.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but just a horrible individual all around. So
she brings you she starts off the call in a racist tirade, immediately slides over, hello, like in pure basic white woman, like entitlement. And then when she realizes this guy can't help her, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. So that's the left side of the bracket. Going over to the right-hand side of the bracket, we've got the Dolce and Gabbana region. This was where we had our huge upset last week. Texas Post Office Racist, the number 4 seed, knocked off then number 1 seed Heather Patton. He went up against Nancy Goodman, 2nd seed in the region. Came close, put up a damn good fight, but in the end, Nancy Goodman was just too much for him, winning 60% to 40%. She moves on to the Final Four to represent the Dolce and Gabbana region. Brian, Texas Post Office Racist gave it a good run. You got to give him some kudos, if nothing else.
Ron, every year there's a Cinderella. This year, that Cinderella came from a post office in Texas. Great run. He's got to hold his head up high. You know, he's got to be proud with his performance. Nobody gave him a chance against Heather Patton. Just put her down face first in the Amarillo mud. But I just think that, cream rises to the top, and that's why Nancy Goodman is in our semifinals representing Dolce and Gabbana.
I mean, listen, Nancy Goodman, no slouch herself. 2 impressive wins to get to this Final Four. Let's listen to her being interviewed on the news after her racist incident where she yelled the N-word at a group of women at a local Bonefish Grill.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
I mean, we got some classic victim blaming right there. I mean, they pushed me into it. And she just downright admits that she uses the word because it's a hurtful word and she wanted to hurt people. So,
and she'll say it again
at the drop of a hat. She may even say it if she wins. She may say it if she wins. She may say it if she doesn't win. So she is going on her competition in the next round, coming from the Stephen Miller region. Brian, what a difference a week can make. Number 1 seed, Days in Dave, looked to be vulnerable, went to overtime in his first round matchup before getting by Ethan Kozak, going up against a very strong number 2 seed, Parker Mushton, who was got all the votes in his first round match. I thought we were looking at another upset here. The fans thought differently. Days in Dave rolls easily, 93% to 7%. Just an old school ass whooping. Were you shocked by these results?
Can't say I was shocked. Days in Dave has been one of my favorites all year round. Nice to see that he is steamrolling through the Stephen Miller region. He set his eyes on Corinne Tyrone in the championship round, but I don't want to see Days in Dave get a cocky. Nancy Goodman's bringing the heat. Should be interesting this week.
All right, and we had a little clip from Days in Dave, in case you forget him.
Say what you were saying.
Come on, let's hear what you got to say, Chuck.
Say what you were saying.
Come on, Chuck.
Say what you were saying.
Come on, boy. Come on, prison boy.
Prison boy.
Prison boy. That old prison boy here. Look at prison boy. Yeah, look at that little fucking dumbass haircut he's got. Looks like a fucking mop. Look at it.
Days in Hotel,
little fucking mop. Look at that,
Virginia.
Look at that.
This
look
is
at all
how
that
I'm
shit all
being
over his
treated.
face. You can't even see his fucking face for all the shit.
This is how I'm being treated right now by this guy.
So Days in Dave may be unemployed, but he's still working through our tournament ranks. So once again, number 1 seed Days in Dave will go up against number 2 seed Nancy Goodman in our first Final Four matchup. And then on the other side, we've got number 1 seed Corinne Tyrone going against number 2 seed Jean Kramer. As always, visit our Facebook and Twitter page to cast your votes, or just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com to link to all of our social media. Brian, your thoughts on these 2 matchups we have coming this week?
Could be great. Could be a great week. This is the time of year I look forward to. You really have the elite of the elite racists. Can I throw in a little anecdote right now?
I would love if you would. I love your anecdotes.
Something I learned this week. I learned that explaining racist of the week to a non-listener of the podcast is incredibly difficult.
Why would you say that?
I went out for dinner on Saturday with a good friend of mine. He brought a female friend, so I was thinking immediately threesome.
Of course.
So we're sitting, having a drink. It was 2, actually, but we were still on the first one. And the subject of my podcast came up, and she seemed interested. She's like, "Oh, I love podcasts. Tell me about it." So I was telling her about it. Brought up the fact that we have a racist of the week, and we do a poll. The look of horror on her face as I was explaining it, and I realized that I was doing a poor job. I don't want to say defending what we do, because it requires no defense, but my friend actually had to lean over at one point and say, "Well, they're not really encouraging racism. They're just trying to, shine a light on some awful people in society."
That's what I was just about to say. It's more shining a flashlight on the seamy underbelly of racism in America.
Ron, she did not buy it. It was the look of horror.
So your chance at a threesome right out the window.
You're right.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well,
okay.
Again, go to Facebook, go to Twitter, vote on our 2 matchups, which will give us our 2 competitors for the following week's championship round. Again, best time of the year for Ron and Brian. It's the 2019 Races of the Year tournament, sponsored by Obalon Brewing. Let's figure out what our beefs of the week are now.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, is your beef have anything to do with not having a threesome?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that I'm the threesome guy.
Okay, I understand.
I think it'd be really weird looking at, or just being in the same room with another guy while I sit there whispering like, "Yeah, you like that? You like that? Yeah, take it. Yeah, yeah, yeah." I think it just, and then you make eye contact. I think it's going to be a little uncomfortable.
Okay, I understand. But so what's bothering you this week?
It sounds petty. Broke my phone this week.
How did you do that?
I was walking up the steps coming out of the subway, tripped, was holding my phone in my hand, dropped it, and the glass screen just shattered all over the place, to the point where texting or using any type of touch function on the screen was an issue. So the next day, I went down to the Verizon store where I got myself a new phone. The person there was very friendly, and now my cell phone bill just went up by about $35 a month.
Well, because you got to pay for the new phone now.
But I shouldn't have to.
But you broke it. I mean, you break it, you buy a new one.
Oh, did this thing just shatter? And you know what? It's because of the glass screen protector I put on started coming off about 2 months ago, so I just peeled it off because it was bothering me. Did not put another one on.
Well, that'll learn you. How do you like the new phone so far, though?
It's fucking annoying having to set up all of the different settings that you like on it. I don't want to have to download all these different apps. I don't remember the passwords to any of them. So each time I download OpenTable, forgot password. Seamless, forgot password. It's just a gigantic pain in the ass.
So you didn't back up your phone prior to getting the new one?
I don't think I've ever backed up my phone.
Oh, my friend. That's dangerous stuff. You wouldn't be going through any of this right now if you did that.
Really?
I mean, I don't want to chastise you, but...
No, please. You know I like that.
Always back up your iPhone.
Oh.
That way when you set up your new phone, it literally carries over what you have on your phone at the moment.
Including all your passwords and stuff?
I believe you can set it up that way, yeah. Same way.
How do you back up your... I know this is going to sound truly stupid, but how do you back up your phone?
You back it up through your iTunes. You plug it into your computer, and it backs up in iTunes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. About a year ago, I got a laptop, and I've been using that, but the phone wasn't synced to that one.
Well,
I
think it's a little bit of learning all around.
Listen, and I think sometimes you can take your beef of the week, and you can transfer that into opportunity.
There you go. Make lemonades out of beef.
Ron, what's pissing you off this week?
I'm gonna steal a page out of your playbook, and I got to say, this week
Jews?
it's the weather.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Jews.
I am not, but I suppose we'll talk about Donald Trump's comments about Jews a little bit later. If we get to it. We'll see. There's just so much. But this dry winter air is killing me. My skin is dry. My hands are cracking. The inside of my nasal passages are like a desert. I wake up in the morning with my nose just whistling because it's just so impacted and dry, and I can't believe it's just the beginning of December, and I have a few more months of this to go. So maybe a minor beef where you come from, but for me, it's a big pain in the ass.
No, it's a gigantic pain in the ass.
But
I find myself itching when I get out of the shower.
Oh yeah, it's because you want to take a hot shower because it's cold, but then you take a hot shower and it just dries your skin out that much more.
Is that the problem with with taking a hot shower?
It is,
because I take them really hot,
especially in the winter. That's what gives you the dry skin.
Really?
Do you moisturize, Brian?
I have not moisturized since I was probably an infant.
Wow. See,
when I was colicky.
I will say the only thing more important than backing up your phone every now and then is moisturizing.
That's okay, Ron. Black don't crack.
Do you hydrate, Brian? At least tell me you hydrate.
I do.
All right.
I drink a lot of water.
All right. You have that going for you at least.
But I also drink a lot of scotch and I drink a decent amount of beer. So I figure those two balance each other out.
They do. They definitely balance out. Well, I do have to give you some kudos. I mean, you may not be able to back up a phone, you may not moisturize, but you can pick some winners, my friends, in the NFL games. You stayed perfect this past week. You looked at that Green Bay line. They were given 13 points to the Redskins. You were like, you know what? That's a bit too many points for comfort. Even though the Redskins have been bad, I don't think they're that bad. So you took the Skins getting 13. They only lose by 5. And then Seattle was straight up against the Rams. Again, you weren't believing the hype with Seattle. You said LA is fighting for that final playoff spot. And they came up big. A big win. 26-12, I think that one was. So you stayed perfect on the year. So kudos.
I think, Ron, I know you're trying to put the attention on me, but I think you're trying to deflect the congratulations that you should be receiving. You, my friend, went 2-0 again.
I mean, it was, I'm on a hot streak, as they say.
You saw the Steelers? No, you saw the Steelers laying only 2.5 against the woeful Arizona Cardinals. You said, lay the point, Steelers win by 6. Then you looked upstate New York, your roots. You saw the Ravens coming in against the Buffalo Bills. You said 5.5. You said, you know what? I'm not going to brag on this one, but maybe close, but definitely take the Ravens. Ravens win by 7. Another 2-0 week for you, sir. Congratulations. I'd like to know your secret one of these days.
You know what? Maybe I'll tell it to you one of these days. Who knows? But we keep making money, so that's the real secret. So who do you like this week? Who are your NFL locks of the week?
First off, we're going to go out to San Diego. Minnesota Vikings rolling in, laying 2.5 at San Diego. I say you lay the points, go Minnesota. Also, Kansas City, after humiliating the mighty 10-2 Patriots, the Chiefs are now rolling into the woeful Denver Broncos, only laying an 11.5. I say the Chiefs win by at least 20 here. Mahomes is getting back into stride. Easy, no-brainer.
All right. Well, I know the Patriots have had a couple games slide lately, but they're rolling into Cincinnati, who has only managed to win one game so far this week. New England is favored by 9.5 on the road. I'm loving that line all day long. I'm taking it. That's money in the bank in my projection. Some tough lines. It was very difficult for me to pick another game, but I feel that the Raiders are going to finish this season on a strong note. I think they can get to 500 by the end of the year. They have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming in. Haven't been able to do much. Oakland's favored by 6.5. I like that line. I would bet it all day long, and I am. So those are my picks.
Excellent. At one point, I was thinking that Jacksonville was going to have a decent season this year.
You know, they had signed Big Dick, Nick Foles. He went down early with that clavicle injury. Then Gardner Minshew came in. They won a game or two under him. Everybody thought he was hot. He started to stink again. Then they brought Nick Foles back in. He couldn't get anything done. Now they're back to Gardner Minshew. Just a staple of inconsistency the Jaguars are this year.
You know who has been consistent in terms of the NFL this year?
Who is that?
The NFL. Michael Vick has been in the news all week. And as a lot of our listeners are very close animal lovers, just like yourself and I. And Michael Vick, as many of you remember, gave a girl a STD many years ago. And went by the name of what was it? Ron Mexico.
Ron Mexico, as we said, a better name than Pierre Delecto.
And then after the STD scare, they kind of ran him out of the sport for a long time. And the NFL this season seems to be trying to bring back Mike Vick.
I don't think it was the STD scandal that ran him out of the NFL.
What do you? No, I mean he gave a fake name and gave a girl an STD. I mean, that's outrageous.
It may more have been the whole dog fighting thing.
Oh, you think?
You might have forgotten that part.
No. I remember. I was well aware. I won some money on those on some of those games.
So
really?
Yes, exactly. So the league announced last month that the retired 39-year-old would be among 4 honorary captains at the Pro Bowl game in January, mentoring the game's participants and appearing throughout the week of festivities in Orlando. And this has caused a lot of people some outrage. I think there are a couple of petitions online right now to protest the NFL's decision to honor Michael Vick. I want to say it's upwards of 600,000 plus have signed that petition. Now there is another petition telling the NFL that they should continue to move forward with honoring Michael Vick. That one is up around 250,000 signatures. So obviously some people passionate on both sides of the issue. It really, it's interesting to see people argue this because you have definitely a group of people that feel that regardless of the price Michael Vick has paid in the past as far as his punishment, as far as anything he may have done to try and rehabilitate and help, doesn't offset what he did during his dog fighting periods. And then you have the flip side of the coin. You have the people that say, what isn't the purpose of prison and punishment to be able to rehabilitate someone? And if you're going to consistently hold him down because of his past, is that fair? And then you have, a subset of that feels that maybe there's a racial component to this, that if he were a white player or a white individual, that the general public might be quicker to forgive than they are. I mean, what's your take on Michael Vick?
I think that it's just another symptom of the arguing culture that we have here. It's the outraged world that we live in. Do I think what he did was absolutely terrible? Yes. Do I think that he went to prison for it? Yes. Do I think that he paid, according to the court, the price that they demanded? Absolutely. Do I think that the NFL in some ways is sending a message to the youth of today that it's okay to do bad things because after a short period of time, everybody's going to forget that it took place? Absolutely. I think he's got no business in the Pro Bowl.
Interesting. So you feel that regardless of what he may have done since his time serving prison, which again, I mean, I remember being just absolutely shocked that he did prison time. because
agreed.
It was definitely during a period where celebrities, athletes, what have you, just didn't serve prison time. Like, it just never happened. They managed to plea bargain out, and he did 17 months, not just in prison. He did it in Leavenworth Federal Prison. So it wasn't like he went to any type of country club prison. Like, he went to federal pound-you-in-the-ass prison and did 17 months. Had to pay millions in fines, basically bankrupted him. And then he has spent his time since, working with animal rescue organizations. I know he worked with the Humane Society for a number of years. I'm very much on the fence with this one because while I don't feel he's someone that should be applauded or rewarded, I think if we are going to function as a society and say that people are allowed to rehabilitate themselves if they accept punishment, I think by then heaping additional punishment on him.
But no. Hold on. This is an additional punishment.
Okay.
This is this is an accolade. This is an acknowledgement, an achievement. This is not saying that he's not allowed to rent an apartment in your condominium building. This isn't saying that he's not allowed to buy a car. This is saying that he's going to be a honorary captain at the Pro Bowl. Like, I would imagine that's something where you want to put people that are that have put out behavior, that have shown themselves to be an example of behavior and what it is to be a football player, what it is to be a leader, what it is to be somebody that people should be looking up to. This is not something that he should just have been handed. This is something that should be earned. Now, my question to you is, do you think that murderers should be able to go back and just go back to their life pre-arrest?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Or are you asking the other guy here?
No, I'm asking you. Why?
No, I'm kidding. Again, I mean, I think if you look at someone who may have murdered someone, and again, I think a lot of it depends on the extenuating circumstances, whether it's a self-defense thing, whether it's an abuse situation, anything like that. If
this guy electrocuted dogs that didn't win dog fights.
I'm not arguing that point. My point more being is that if you go through the criminal court system and you are provided a sentence, and here's maybe where maybe I'm not explaining myself as well as I should, is necessarily the issue with Michael Vick, or is the issue with the NFL deciding to honor Michael Vick?
It is purely with the NFL for trying to honor Mike Vick. Mike Vick committed a crime, paid the price, and is now doing what he can to make amends for it. That is what society should be expecting from him, and that's what he is doing. I think the problem here is the NFL saying that it's okay to commit crimes the way he did, and in a couple years we'll just forgive and pretend it never took place.
But people are coming out against Michael Vick and saying, he shouldn't be given this honor because XYZ. Whereas maybe people's anger should be more directed towards the NFL.
Ron, are you trying to say that in today's outraged society that there's some misdirected anger?
I'm saying that perhaps the cancel culture takes down some casualties that maybe are unintended.
So are you saying that Louis C.K. should still be performing comedy at arenas?
It's interesting because did he necessarily serve any punishment? Was he convicted in a court of law?
He was never charged with a crime. He basically had his livelihood stolen. That's all that he had.
But again, I think you've got these individuals where I think it falls into, I don't know that's necessarily a gray area, but you have individuals like Louis C.K., Matt Lauer, people like this where, they are punished to a certain extent where they lose jobs, they lose income, but they don't necessarily, go to jail or they're not convicted of anything. But, Louis C.K. again is doing gigs. There are clubs that will hire him. Matt Lauer.
He'll be in Magoobies in D.C. this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 shows Friday.
I'm sure, Matt Lauer will get hired once people feel that it's an appropriate time for him to come back. So I guess
we should be outraged when he does.
We should be
outraged. We should be outraged when Charlie Rose comes back.
Do you think Charlie Rose is coming back?
Probably not. But I do. I believe Matt Lauer deserves an opportunity to defend himself. Right now, you've got some women that filed some claims against him. Nothing's been proven. Michael Vick, you can say, was charged with crimes, was found guilty by a jury of his peers, and did his time. Matt Lauer really is not. He's accused of some pretty awful behavior, but no charges have been filed against him. He's just been unable to be on television and being paid to be on television.
And maybe that, from my viewpoint, I guess maybe that's the big difference is that, Michael Vick took some level of acceptance for what he did. And again, I think the issue is more with the NFL deciding to honor him. Make your issue with the NFL, but, was it a misstep by the NFL? Probably. But can you then, at this point, if he's been told that he's going to receive this honor and it's taken away from him, again, is that not an additional punishment? Understanding your point that maybe the NFL should not have put this accolade on him to begin with, but shame on them, very poor judgment on their part. Maybe next year OJ can be a Pro Bowl coach. But they did it. They made the initial misstep. Now, after you've already informed Michael Vick of this, what message does it send to people when you can supposedly, serve your debt to society, but then be punished again further down the line?
But is it not the same with OJ? That man, he stole some memorabilia that was originally his in a Las Vegas hotel. He went to prison for that. He was found guilty, went to prison, and still to this day, he cannot get a tee time in a private golf course.
Well, he's still getting tee times anywhere he goes, and he's still getting that NFL. He's still getting that NFL pension.
Hold on a second. OJ is still he cannot go to private clubs. They will not allow him to play golf at a private club. He is forced to go to the lowly public courses.
Poor bastard. But again, here's someone that you can argue, did he really pay his debt to society because he has never taken any responsibility whatsoever for his actions and has done nothing to, after the fact, try and do anything to be a productive member of society afterwards?
Ron, he's still looking for the killers.
So you're saying that's productive?
He's still looking for the killers. He was not going to rest until he finds out who killed Nicole and Ron Goldman.
Yep.
I was about to say Swanson, but I realized this was not Parks and Rec.
Well, I think this might be a situation where we have to agree to disagree just a little bit.
But I'm not. But where do you stand on this? Because I kind of hear you straddling the fence without taking a stance. But then I hear you say we'll agree to disagree.
No, I think the NFL was wrong in deciding to honor him. I think it sends, to your point, I think it sends a very bad message. That, he was incredibly lucky to have the ability to come back and play in the NFL again after he served his prison time.
Yes.
So you could easily make the argument that he received an opportunity. You look at someone like a Ray Rice, who, had the incidents where he abused his girlfriend in public and, will never play another down in the NFL. And rightfully so. And rightfully so. But
how can you say that he will not play another down in the NFL?
if he hasn't by now, just looking at age and the fact that he was a running back, I mean, just odds would be very long shot that he'd even play for an XFL team at this point.
Is he the guy that dragged his unconscious girlfriend out of the elevator?
That would be the one.
Or is he the guy that shot his pregnant girlfriend?
That was Ray Caruth of the Carolina Panthers.
I got them confused.
Who was recently paroled.
I'll just go off on a slight little tangent here. But what is it about the NFL that seems to, and I'm walking right into a minefield here, right into a minefield, but I'm not going to swerve away. What is it about the NFL that attracts people that are, I want to say criminally minded, but that's not really the right PC term. But you don't hear about these stories taking place in pro soccer. You don't see this in tennis.
Well, I think
you got Aaron Hernandez, you got Ray Caruth, Ray Rice, you've got Michael Vick, you've got Joe Namath.
What did Joe Namath do?
He got drunk on the sidelines and told a reporter that he wanted to kiss her. I mean, that was almost sexual assault.
I think when you look at the NFL, and I don't think it's just an NFL issue. I mean, I think you have a similar issue in Major League Baseball. I mean, we had the story a couple weeks back of former MLB player Josh Hamilton, assaulting his daughter. I think we see this in the NBA. There's definitely been issues with people in the NBA. I think when you have people that perform at such a high level that they can make it to a professional league like the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, that these are people that are pretty much coddled from a very young age, because that's typically when people say, oh, this kid's got a special amount of talent. So they are handed things. If there are issues, they are swept under the rug. So I think a lot of these guys get this impression that they can just do anything and there are no consequences. And then at the end of the day, they sign a contract with a major professional team and get handed a boatload of money, and they just feel invincible. I think that contributes to it.
Are you still talking about professional athletes, or are you talking about podcast personalities?
I mean, I think if you shine the light on the podcasting community, there's some fairly horrible individuals there as well.
Really? Do you want to name
I think
some
that
names?
Pandora money is really driving some people crazy.
What Pandora money?
Pandora money. You didn't get your check?
No.
Oh, well then just forget I said anything.
Oh, you wouldn't be... Would you really hold out on me?
No, never. Don't you trust me, my friend?
With everything that I have, with who I am, my every breath I take, I owe to you.
But again, I think I think there's so many components to this story that people just have a very difficult time setting emotion aside, especially because it involves animals, which, I'm an animal lover. I've got way too many animals in the house as it is. I thought what Michael Vick did was disgusting. He deserved to be punished, and he was. And again, you can argue whether that punishment should continue or not. Again, I feel this is one of a number of missteps that you see from the NFL. And the sad thing is the people that benefit the most out of this is the NFL. Because when was the last time the Pro Bowl had any level of interest like this?
Never.
No. I mean, it is an afterthought on the weekend between the divisional championship games and the Super Bowl. I mean, to the point that, it's like a touch football game. But now, everybody is, I guarantee you the Pro Bowl will have the best ratings that it's had in 20 years because of this controversy. And that's the horrible part.
Maybe they bring back OJ.
Maybe they bring back Ray Caruth.
Maybe they bring back Ray Rice.
Maybe they bring back Josh Hamilton, even though he didn't play in the NFL.
Who's the guy whose friends beat somebody to death and got off on it and continued to play?
Ray Lewis?
Yeah. What's with the Rays? Holy shit. I had Ray Rice and Ray Caruth, and now you just throw in a Ray Lewis.
Well, remember, Ray Caruth...
That guy was guilty.
He spells his name R-A-E, so it's a little different.
just had to be fucking different.
But
I think the issue here with Mike is that Michael Vick actually killed people. Like, he killed animals. And there's nothing worse when there's been a loss, a death. You know, I mean, I know myself. I'm feeling a little bit low this week.
Were there some deaths that impacted you, Brian?
Oh, Ron, this was a bad week. I mean, not as there were some there. One of the things for me about following celebrity obituaries is just when somebody has been a member of your life since as long as you can remember, and then suddenly they are just taken away, and you don't remember what life is like without them. This week, Paul Volcker, the Fed chairman, while during the Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan administration, Fed chairman who beat inflation, passed away at 92. This man tamed the American economy, which was at 20% interest rates, while at the same time leading us out of a great recession into a period of prosperity that we are still enjoying. Paul Volcker, big one. This one really hurt.
I mean, the inspiration behind the Volcker Rule, which sought to rein in commercial banks by prohibiting them from making risky investments in hedge funds and private equity firms. You know what I think I like the most about the video I see from Paul Volcker, and you can tell This is just a different era in America, but he's at this table. I think he's testifying in front of Congress with just a cigar in his hand. He's talking, he's smoking, the ashtray right there. Like, that was old school politics.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, the prosperity that you and I are enjoying right now, I believe that it goes right back to him.
And became even more altruistic in his old age. And when he was 86, back in 2013, he started the Volcker Alliance to promote public service. So one of the all-time greats in economics and in public service.
But I'm not done yet.
No?
There were some more terrible deaths this week. Yeah. Another person that's been around in my life for so long, and it's just not going to be there anymore. Rene Auberjonois.
This one hurt. This one hurt a lot. I remember him from his Benson days.
I do remember him from Benson. I do not remember him from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I do not remember him in MASH, where he played Father Mulcahy. I do remember him in Benson, where he played Hedges.
Yes.
Hedges.
The butler.
Yes.
He wore a lot of makeup on Deep Space Nine, so that might be why you didn't recognize him.
Oh, is that why?
And he was in the movie MASH. He was not in the TV show MASH.
Oh, that makes more sense.
He played Father Mulcahy in the MASH movie.
Yeah, I did not truly care for the movie MASH. I am a big fan of Brewster McCloud, McCabe and Mrs. Miller. I mean, these are movies from 71 and 72. But really, he made the big jump into my life when in 1980, he joined the cast of Benson, and he would appear for the rest of the 7 seasons as the political advisor and chronic hypochondriac Endicott.
Well, let's not forget.
Hey, make sure don't forget to buy Endicott Steel.
Let's not forget his role of Odo on Deep Space Nine, which a lot of people remembered him on, playing the Changeling from 93 to 98, became a regular at Star Trek conventions. And this was actually kind of nice, he would do the conventions and obviously, do the autograph signings that people paid for, but he donated a portion of that autograph signing to Doctors Without Borders.
Oh, that's nice of him.
He was also, I forgot this, he was on the show Boston Legal with William Shatner for 4 years.
And he was married to his wife for 56 years, which I think, compared to everything else in his career, really is a crowning achievement.
That is fairly impressive. I miss Boston Legal. That was a good show. I don't think that had a long enough run. What's that? James Spader, William Shatner.
I don't know that I ever watched an episode
Brian,
of it.
What the hell?
But right now, I'm dying on the inside.
Who else did we lose this week? It felt like we lost a lot.
Emo rapper Juice WRLD 21 years old, real name Gerard Higgins, was flying on a private jet from Los Angeles to Chicago, where before he got off the plane, allegedly swallowed a bunch of Percocet pills that he thought he was going to have to hide them from authorities. So he swallowed Percocets. Apparently, he was addicted to codeine, and his collected from the bags of he and his entourage by authorities were 70 pounds of marijuana.
Oh, no, my friend.
I mean, that is
700 pounds of marijuana.
No.
700 pounds of marijuana.
That's it. There's no way. That's 70.
That's the article I have. It's what it says.
700?
700 pounds of marijuana. A lot of marijuana. That's a lot of weed.
That is a ludicrous amount of marijuana. Not that I wouldn't know. I mean, I live in New York State where it's not legal. Rip to Juice World. We're gonna play some of his music on the way out.
Are we?
So no, we're really not. I don't actually. I'd never heard of.
You didn't talk about what else they found on top of the 700 pounds of marijuana.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Several bottles of cough syrup, 3 guns, metal piercing bullets, and a high capacity ammunition magazine.
You know who would have liked those metal piercing bullets?
Who's that?
Pete Freights.
and why is that? I got to hear this connection.
Well, he was the face of Ice Bucket Challenge.
Okay.
And he was dying. He passed away this week from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yes, which ironically Lou Gehrig was the first one to have. But Pete Freights passing away this past week after 7 years with the progressive disease. Within his last year before he passed away, he was quoted multiple times as saying, "Please just shoot me. Shoot me with some metal piercing bullets. If you're out there, Juice World, please take me out. It's my time."
So what was your thought of the Ice Bucket Challenge back when it was going on?
I thought it was completely fucking stupid.
Really? Even though it was raising money for a good cause?
I think that raising money for the good cause was it was a way for people not to feel fucking stupid.
So if Ron and Brian was around back then and I poured a bucket of ice on my head and said, "I challenge Brian to do the Ice Bucket Challenge," you wouldn't have done it?
I would not have done it.
Good to know.
Did you do the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I did not. No, I was. No one challenged me, or else I possibly might have.
Would you have done it?
Possibly. I'm nothing if not charitable. You know me. I give and I give until it hurts.
You do. You do give a lot. What I noticed on Twitter is you do give a lot to different politicians
lately I have
that are woke. But only to woke politicians.
Well, yes, you got to be very woke. But that ALS is one horrible disease, Lou Gehrig's disease. I will say one of Dennis Leary's best bits of all times is when he talks about Lou Gehrig and getting Lou Gehrig's disease. Like, how did you not see this one coming? Goddamn disease is named after me.
That's good. And that's celebrity obituaries.
Oh, wait, my friend.
I like the way you made it. We ended on a high note. You made me chuckle.
No.
Because celebrity obituaries.
You're missing a very important one.
Who?
You, and I'm sure a ton of our fans out there are longtime fans of the children's television network show Sesame Street. And
of course, I grew up on that show. I loved it.
And this one, we lost a legend in the business, Carol Spinney, who entertained children for nearly half a century as Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, died on Sunday at his home in Connecticut, the age of 85. He had actually retired last year, suffered from dystonia, a disorder which causes involuntary muscle contractions. So it's a tough one.
Ron?
Yes.
Ron? See, this may sound like a sidebar. Maybe I should save this. You can edit this out. But this is why I like to do the celebrity obituaries.
And why is that?
Because there's a standard of fame that I bring to the celebrity obituaries bit. Juice World. I mean, he is a world-renowned rapper with 700 pounds of marijuana. The dude from Benson, everybody of our generation knows him. nobody would be able to guess his name. Paul Volcker, basically came in during Carter and single-handedly brought this country back from financial ruin. And I just don't see this contribution, Carol Spinney. I don't see being worthy.
He made Big Bird an international star, Brian. He appeared in a Bob Hope TV special in China. He had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was named a living legend by the Library of Congress.
It's still, I just don't know that this is celebrity obituary worthy.
So, I mean, if you were to, let's just say, we didn't do this for the other ones, but I'll throw this out there to you for this. If you were to grade that death, what would you give Carol Spinney?
I mean, if it was the guy that voiced Elmo, I'd a solid B plus. Big Bird hasn't been relevant. I don't know that Big Bird was ever relevant.
So grade that death, Brian.
I got to go D plus.
All right. That's Ron and Brian, brought to you today by the letter D. All right. Moving on. One last story we had this week. Unfortunately, but not surprisingly, another mass shooting. This one taking place at the Pensacola Naval Air Station in Florida. I believe we had 3 people die, plus the shooter died. Mohammed Saeed Al-Sharami, 21, someone from the Saudi Air Force who was training at one of our local bases. Apparently filmed the deadly rampage, which I have not seen any video on that. But I mean, should there be any surprise at any time anymore when we see these mass shootings happen, even if it's at a military facility?
No, the thing that set this one slightly apart was the fact that if this person was from Mexico, if this person was from Guatemala, if this person was from Ecuador, if this person was from
Costa Rica,
good one, I like that. The current administration would be up in arms over it. This is why we're letting these people in. But this guy was from Saudi Arabia. And the White House immediately took the stance, we've spoke to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He's going to look into it. They've sent some really fine people, and we trust that they're going to do the right thing.
And he said that the king was very sorry about what happened, and stated the king said he would make financial reparations to the families of the victims. Do you think any of those families would be able to accept any money from the Saudi government for a situation like this?
Yes.
Would you take money from the Saudis because if they killed a family member?
Yes. The family member is not going to come back.
Okay.
If you have $0 from the Saudis, your relative is still gone. If the Saudis give you $4 million, you now have $4 million. It's not going to bring the person back, but $4 million in your pocket is better than zero. Would you turn down $4 million if they offered it?
It's blood money, Brian.
Okay, well, no. Yes, it is blood money. All right, so let's give you real world scenarios. We know that your wife travels for business. Say she is on a plane that is taken down by a missile that has been shot from a Saudi military base.
Okay.
Her plane goes down, and you are now the sole owner of 8 cats and 2 dogs.
I mean, that's a lot of animals to take care of on your own.
And now the Saudis show up and say, "Hey, we're really sorry that one of our missile technicians, pressed the button. We're terribly sorry. Here's a check for $4.8 million."
I mean, I guess it depends on whether it's framed as an accident or as an act of terror.
Okay, well, an act of terror that is being perpetrated by the government?
All right, I'm taking the money. That's fine.
I don't think it's going to make a difference. They're not going to be held accountable for anything. Would I be pissed off? Yes. but it's not going to bring back your loved
No,
one.
I know. I just think it's insulting too. I think it's insulting, and again, I think it shows the character of someone like a Donald Trump, where he feels that there is a dollar amount for everything.
Yes.
Pay off a porn
I
star,
think
$130,000. Family gets killed by, family member gets killed by a Saudi. There's a price for that.
See, I think that Donald Trump and the administration, they are so afraid of upsetting the Saudi Arabians and the effect that that has on the American economy, that right now Saudi Arabia can get away with anything without any ability on the Americans' part to stand up to them. We're not going to demand an investigation. We're not going to conduct an investigation on how this guy came to be on an American naval base receiving military training.
I don't know. It's been very
screening
quiet
process
since
do
the
the
initial
Saudis
thing
have?
happened. There really hasn't been a lot of conversation. So hopefully there'll be an investigation into it, and we'll figure out some more along the way.
There will not be investigation. We know that he was very upset because some of the other military personnel at the Pensacola Navy base had nicknamed him Porn Stash in reference to his mustache.
That's a great nickname. Did he not enjoy it?
He apparently did not. He filed a complaint against one of the instructors and said that he was called that during a meteorology class in front of 10 students.
Interesting. Well, I have no sympathy for him.
Is he dead or is he
He's
alive?
dead. He took his own life. They always do that. The
he
cowards.
killed himself? Fuck that.
All right, one last question before we wrap. Not necessarily a question, but I'm just going to make a statement. Get your take on it because I thought this was interesting when I saw this on the news earlier. Golden Globe nominations were announced earlier today. As far as the television categories, there was not any network show nominated for a Golden Globe.
Really?
All cable, all streaming services. No network channel had a show nominated for a Golden Globe.
Commercials are over. People will. I think it's what we've seen. It's only going to continue the slide. People are willing to pay a nominal fee to not have to look at commercials.
And I think if you are going to be on a platform that still has commercials, you really have to have great content. And I don't think you see that on the networks anymore.
Oh, most definitely. I don't think that they've had great content in years. I mean, Friends was the last TV show on commercial television that I really liked.
We I just got a free year of Apple TV for buying a new laptop. I will recommend, they have their own programming on there now. I will recommend the M. Night Shyamalan series Servant on there. 2 episodes in, very creepy so far.
And I would recommend that when this podcast is over, you provide me with your Apple login information so that I can enjoy your Apple TV.
I might have to throw that your way. I want to get your take on there also is that morning show with Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon.
That got ripped from what I heard. That got ripped.
The first episode, it was painful getting through. I don't know if I can. I always try and give a show like 2 episodes to see like how good it is. Yeah. I don't know if I can make that one to it. And again, a solid lineup: Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, Steve Carell. I mean, but it just seems like a ripoff of what was that show with Jeff Daniels? Was it The Newsroom?
Network. No, I don't
but I think it's like they took that and they just tried to put it in a morning show Matt Lauer type setting, and I think it just misses completely. But Servant
minus,
I give it thumbs up.
Really? Yeah. Okay. All right. Hook me up with your login, and I will. I'll give you a thumbs.
All right.
Up.
And listeners out there, you hook us up with some votes for Racist of the Year. Head to RonandBrianPodcast.com for links to all of our social media, including Facebook and Twitter, where you can vote on the Racist of the Year tournament sponsored by Obalon. You can listen to it on the website. You have links to all of our different podcast channels, but more importantly, you have the link to our Patreon where you can subscribe, get some great swag, but more importantly, get some great additional content, which we record right after this very episode that you're hearing right now. So click on that, or go to patreon.com/the Ron and Brian podcast to subscribe. Brian, anything else you got for us today?
I'm going to save all my thoughts for the Patreon.
All right, sounds good. Love you, my friend.
Love you more.
Yeah.